Hey guys, GoForce Online here to bring you another one of my trash builds. Now this is my Frost Damage Warden damage dealer. So damage dealer that only does frost damage. So the main benefit of this, it works very well for crowd control. So most of these skills stuns enemies or reduces their movement speed. So it just controls the battlefield a lot more. Alright, let's take a look. So sitting at 34k max magicka there, and 25k max health, so fairly high max health there, but I'll show you guys why that is. Also has another boost that one of my abilities has, which increases it by 10%, so I usually sit at 27k max health. Spell damage is sitting at 2900 unbuffed, so that'll probably climb up to about 4k, but I'll showcase that through the skills. And spell critical is sitting at 46%, which is very nice. Spell damage and physical damage sitting at 16 and 18k, which is not bad for a damage dealer. As a damage dealer, you don't have to have that much spell and critical damage. Then this Munderstone I'm using is the Apprentice, so it increases my spell damage by 390, and using max health, max magicka food. I'm also a vampire, so stage 1 just for that, just to access these skills. Alright, so let's take a look at the inventory. So the first one I'm using here is Ice Heart. So when you deal critical damage, you have a 20% chance to gain a damage shield that absorbs 5800 damage for 6 seconds. While the damage shield holds, you deal 735 frost damage to all enemies within 5 meters. For every 1 second, this effect can occur every 6 seconds. So very nice set here. It did receive a nerf from Greymoor, but still a very good set to use for that damage shield, so a bit of extra damage mitigation and that AoE damage at the same time. Now because most of the skills I use here is AoE skills with multiple targets, so multiple targets means multiple chances to proc that critical strike. So that critical strike happens fairly often, so you can have nearly 100% uptime on multiple targets. The next one we have here is Isgramor. So adds 400 spell damage to all my frost damage abilities, which is pretty much all my damage dealing abilities gain that 400 spell damage. And the next one here is Winterborn. So when I deal frost damage, you summon a pillar that deals 9100 frost damage to all enemies in a 3-meter radius. The ice pillar persists for 2 seconds and reduces the movement speed of all enemies within the radius by 50%. This effect can occur once every 6 seconds. So here's the first one of those skills that reduces movement speed, and a lot of them are active through this build. Alright, let's take a look at the skills. So the first one here is Unstable Wall of Frost. So slam the staff down, dealing 1200 frost damage to all the enemies in the area. Chilled enemies becomes frozen and are immobilized for 4 seconds, so a bit of crowd control. And when the effect ends, the barrier explodes with 6224 frost damage. Now, worth noting that most of these skills are from the weapon skill line using Destruction Staff. Another element staff will probably work better, but just use the Frost Staff because it makes all these skills frost damage. Now, something definitely worth noting, and please don't forget to do this, do not activate this passive, because any heavy attack that you do on an enemy taunts an enemy and they come and attack you. So even though you have that damage shield there, it is not worth it, because if you taunt an enemy and the tank doesn't want it taunted, or it's going to come chase you down instead of the tank, you're going to upset a lot of people. So most of the chats that happens through trials and dungeons is turn off this passive because heavy attacks taunts enemies. Alright, then moving on. Next one here is Arctic Blast. This is from the class skills. So envelop yourself on Winter Wind, instantly healing for 5400 health and additional 653 health every 1 second for 5 seconds. While this effect persists, it deals 1500 frost damage every 1 second to nearby enemies. and enemies hit by this 3 times are stunned for 4 seconds. So it does healing over time, deals AoE frost damage, and has the additional crowd control there as well. Now this ability scales off my max health. Now moving on to the next one is Frost Pulsar. So releases a surge of frost, dealing 6,600 frost damage to all nearby enemies and affecting them with minor mangle, which reduces their max health by 10% for 10 seconds. So this is a very nice skill on trash, so activating this, all of their max health is reduced by 10%, which reduces the amount of damage you have to do in order to kill them. So nice bit of support and damage there at the same time. Next one here is Winter's Revenge. So conjure ice shards at a target location, dealing 2,700 frost damage every 1 second for 12 seconds. Enemies hit are overcome with bitter cold, reducing their movement speed by 30%, so extra crowd control there, and the ability has a higher chance to apply the chilled status effect. Alright, then the one after that is Inner Light. So this is a flex slot deal. There's another skill that you can put in as a passive buff, and that is the Birds of Prey there. So it grants you minor berserk, but also having this slotted will increase your damage output by 2% as well. So 10% total damage increase if you slot this one. The only reason I'm using Inner Light is it boosts my max magicka by 7%, and also gives me Major Prophecy there, which increases my spell critical. And then the last one here is the Ultimate Ice Comet from the Mage's Guild skill line. So a very powerful frost damage attack. So on impact deals 17k frost damage to all enemies in the area, knocking them down and stunning them for 2 seconds, and reducing their movement speed by 50% for 5 seconds. After impact, enemies in the area take 5,900 frost damage every 1 second for 13 seconds. So very nice skill there. So it deals AoE damage, deals damage on impact, stuns, and also reduces the enemy's movement speed, so works well for crowd control at the same time. Take a look at the back bar. So first one I have here is Frost Reach. So predominantly you have the skill here as a dot. So once it fires, it deals 4,500 frost damage, an additional 10,000 frost damage over 10 seconds. So when I swap to the back bar, I need to have my buffs activated, then I just activate the skill as well and have that dot running. The next one I have here is Elemental Drain. So it affects the enemy with Major Breach for 23 seconds, reducing their spell resistance by 5,200. And it also applies Minor Magicka Steal for 23 seconds as well. So every time I attack that specific enemy, I restore 300 Magicka every 1 second. So the next one here is Fury from the Vampire skill line. So this is a complicated skill. Once activated, it costs health, so 1,800 health per second. And while toggled on, it increases by 20% every 1 second. So that 1,800 increases by 20% every 1 second. And when I toggle this ability off, I heal for 36% of all the health cost spent while this was toggled on. So if I have the skill on and my health runs too low, it automatically turns off so it doesn't kill you. But when it turns off, because I do healing during this duration, I pretty much heal back for the full health bar. So I can activate the skill again. But the reason I have it here is increases my spell damage by 660, which is a really nice increase there. Next one I have here is Blue Betty. So it restores 4,900 Magicka over 25 seconds and grants me Major Sorcery, increasing my spell damage by 20%. Every 5 seconds, the net removes 1 negative effect from me. So this is just a back bar buff there as well, so increasing my spell damage and a bit of resource sustain as well. And then I have Inner Light again on the back bar. Now, the only reason I have it here is if I am at full magicka and I swap over between bars and this is not on that back bar, I lose that 7% magicka increase that I get. So having it on both bars just make sure I don't lose that 7% additional magicka. And then Ice Combat again on the back bar. This is a flex spot. You can slot any other ultimate you want there. Just wanted to have it here just for that frost damage as well, so I can activate it off the front bar or the back bar. But definitely deals more damage from the front bar. Alright, so let's take a look. From the back bar, activating that, activating your Blue Betty, and then activating that Frenzy. So you can see there 28k magic, 28k health there, and 3,500 magicka. With the Frenzy on, that's at 4,300 buffed as well. So that's usually what I'm running at. So on the front bar, once I activate that heal, that deals the AoE damage at the same time. So activating Frenzy, and then activating that heal. So it does AoE damage and heals me at the same time. So having that uptime just increases the amount of time that Frenzy can be active. Alright, so in combat, just reset there. So running forward, blockade, so just get Frenzy up there. Have that Storm there as well, so it comes close contact. And there you go, my shield is up as well, so my monster set has procced. Pulsar. You can see my health do run low and then it just comes back. And that's the ice shards. Alright, thanks for listening guys. If you have any ideas for builds that I need to do in the future, please let me know in the comments down below. If you like the content I'm putting out, please hit that like and subscribe. Take care and be safe. Bye.